Hey, hi. Welcome to Someone Else's Movie, the original podcast where an actor, writer, director, or nebulous industry figure gives a little love to a movie they didn't make. I'm Norm Wilner, senior film writer for Now Magazine, and this is the other thing I do. My guests this week are Meghan Heffern, an actor you may know from Winona Earp and Unreal, or from her work in films like Red Rover, The F Word, or Home Sweet Home, and Wendy Litner, a writer and producer whose credits include The Beaverton and the web series How to Buy a Baby, which stars Meghan and Mark Ben-David as Jane and Charlie, a Toronto couple doing their best to maintain a healthy relationship while struggling with infertility. The second season of the show just arrived on CBC's Gem service last Friday, and I've been a fan since the first season. You should check it out. Meghan and Wendy picked To All the Boys I've Loved Before, Susan Johnson's 2018 high school dramedy starring Lana Condor as a high school junior named Lara Jean, whose world is turned upside down when the letters she's written to 5 boys she's crushed on in her life are mysteriously mailed out. To diffuse the tension with Josh, the neighbor who also happens to be her sister's ex, Lara Jean invents a fake relationship with their classmate Peter, and that's when things get really complicated. Released on Netflix just about a year ago, To All the Boys I've Loved Before took over the world in like a weekend, rolling on a mixture of 80s teen comedy nostalgia and genuine sweetness, and, obviously, an appeal that transcends generations. This is Someone Else's Movie.
I just really wish that I had had that movie when I was a teenager. I found when I was growing up, all the movies in the teen genre all were like, you know, the... Can I swear on this?
Sure.
The asshole guy, you know, the like athlete asshole guy, and then the girl changes him, or the girl's kind of a loser, and then she like has a big makeover, and then the guy likes her, or like the girls are mean to the girl, and then she changes, or she feels bad or ashamed. And in this movie, I just felt like both the main characters, the male main characters, were nice and good men already and didn't need to be changed. And I felt like the leading character, the leading lady was, you know, so confident in her, different. And it didn't matter what anyone said about her. And I loved how she didn't have to change anyone, and they didn't think she was a loser. And it was just, I don't know, it's really, and I love the diversity casting. And they didn't, you know, try to tokenize it or, you know, over-sexualize it or any of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's, it's
beautiful. I was so excited to watch it. I also connected to her. She had lost her mother, the main character, when she was younger, and I lost my mother as well. Not when I was quite as young as Lara Jean, but just I really liked the way they sort of dealt with loss and its effect on relationships, like even in a teen movie. And I always feel like it's always like, I've lost my mom, and now I'm this like hardened person, and I who's not allowed to talk about their loss. And I like that she was in a relationship and was like, yeah, it's really hard to lose my mom, and I really miss her. And I just really appreciated that, because you sort of feel uneasy, be like, oh no, I'm cool, I'm fine, everything's good, and it's not. It's really hard. So yeah, I love that too.
Yeah, there's a sense of, there's a sense of style more than anything else. That there's a confidence in this film that I haven't seen in you know, teen movies or the standard. I'm trying to figure out how to package this so I don't sound like I'm knocking young adult targeted movies, because that's totally a thing. I mean, it's a legitimate genre at this point. But they all seem to be very twinkly, very voiceover-y, very, this was the biggest thing that ever happened to me. And all of that is here, but it's also presented in this kind of lively, charming, engaged way. The film is open to the pleasures of the genre.
Yeah, and I think a lot of, you know, older people like me.
Oh God, if you're older than I'm ancient.
Like, a lot of people in their a lot of people in their 30s, I think, are really loving it.
Yeah.
And you know, kind of being nostalgic about how it's similar to the movies we grew up with, but just far superior.
Yeah.
So there's a sense of nostalgia with like yearning for us to be that age and to seeing that when we were teens.
Right. I have younger nieces, and so I wanted to ask her opinion too, what she thought about it. Also, because I want to be the cool aunt. Like I've seen all the cool movies, and I was telling Megan that she loved that he put his hand in her back pocket, which we know from 16 Candles, but to her is this like new.
And I just,
like,
I
it's
love
so wholesome that's the height of.
No, but I also love how like before that happened, they had an entire discussion about consent.
Consent, yes.
Which you never see in teen movies. There's like, consent and just, I love that.
Yeah. So I think you're right. We didn't really have movies like that when we were younger. It's always the asshole guy. You always have to change.
We have to change them.
She takes off her glasses and then she's the beauty queen.
And it's like, okay.
Yeah. But can we talk about how gorgeous her outfits are?
Yes, they're amazing.
I love a good outfit. This was like a new Clueless level of wardrobe. I felt.
I was trying to figure out. I admit I have very little experience of high school fashion in movies these days, other than the 2 films that I've seen this year, maybe Good Boys and a couple of others that have high school characters, but they don't focus on it. And then those films are trying to be more realistic, and Lara Jean is constantly expressing something. And after about half an hour, I have to admit, I figured it out. It's like, oh, I see. She's actually indicating how she's feeling and what she's doing. But it's kind of overwhelming at first, I have to admit. It's sort of a stylistic choice that's just like, oh, I don't recognize any of these things. Are those feathers? Are those flaps on her shoulders? Like, what's going on?
I don't know, but I just love how she had the confidence to just wear whatever she wanted. And then when she was called out on maybe looking different, she was like, I don't care. I don't care what you say about me.
Yeah.
I just love, where did she learn that?
Yeah.
Like, where do you learn that?
And how do I learn it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was really incredible too with her shoes. She's like, this is the way I take up space and this is the way I want to look. And I just really love that. And I never got over Clueless. I never got over those outfits. So I felt like this was sort of like a nice iteration, new love. Yeah. Homage to Clueless outfits.
Yeah. Even the, how can I put this without sounding like a pervert? The
I'm
nightgown,
so excited for this.
Yeah, the nightgown, the nightdress she wears at one point, they call attention to it. Like, you just came down in your nightgown. But it's made of sweatshirt material. It looks comfortable. Like, it's not some big, strappy, elaborate thing that you would get in a 90s movie where the seduction scene is happening. It's just people clothes.
Right.
When she needs to be functional, she's completely functional. And that turns out to be the biggest moment in the movie. But it's so...
I mean, the sexiest moment was definitely the hot tub.
Well, that's it, right? Like, they're setting it up, but they're setting it up in the least sexy way imaginable because she's actually being much more nervous and
right. Which sort of
careful.
goes to the heart of what Meghan was saying, is that they don't sort of like amplify that this is the biggest thing that's ever happened in her life. They sort of... It's just normal. It's just like, this is... which I think is... Yeah.
And spoilers for people who haven't seen it yet.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. I'm going to spoil. They don't have sex. Because, again, they're children. The movie gets that.
I love that. I just wish that this movie was around when I was like 13.
So would you write a letter to the boys that you loved then?
I just
inspire you.
love that she did that. I actually have done that. So
is it that? Yeah, I think that's.
I always write letters. Some good, some bad. Some I send, some I do not.
Yeah, I love that. And I want to go and write like. Can I make it like all the
retroactive
emails that I? I want to after the fact now write to all the boys I ever loved.
You should.
Yeah.
Still looking for Kaylin Ruckman. Kaylin Ruckman, are you out there? Last I heard of you, you were in Nanaimo. I don't know. My grade 7 boyfriend.
Oh my God, he's going to show up at your door.
No.
It's kind of a great premise, right? Like as these things go, Jenny Han's novel is.
No, I want to read the book.
Yeah. I totally understand how, it's kind of like a fluffy teen movie. It just really brought to attention so many problems that we had when we were growing up.
Is it the confusion? Is it the lack of consent? The lack of...
I think I just have been rewatching a lot of my favorite movies and just being like, oh, those don't hold up.
Yeah.
I will say, though, Spice World holds up.
Does it? Oh, I gotta go
they're
back.
like girl
Thank
power,
God.
feminism.
Right.
They're all about
I remember an interview with them saying they were the original Margaret Thatcher, and I loved that.
Spice World holds up.
You're
Go
weirdly
rewatch
not the first
it.
person to say this. I have heard this before.
It's the weirdest movie, but I just actually rewatched it a couple days ago,
Oh,
and
my God.
I'm into it.
Delighted to hear it.
Yeah.
All right, I got to go back and watch.
All I remember of that movie at this point is Richard E. Grant having the best time. I don't remember. I mean, I saw it, 20 years ago?
Did he play their agent?
He's the manager.
Oh, yeah.
the
He has some
manager.
crazy colored suits.
Yeah. He's just, clearly they paid for him to do whatever he wanted, and he did.
And he did. And Alan Cummings is in it.
That's right.
Oh,
He's
Alan Cummings.
so young and
Cummings.
Yeah, he's
God, I
great.
gotta go back and watch. I love that just the art of letter writing is such a lost art form and such a lost thing that we don't do. I was thinking that, do we write, like we used to write notes in class, I would think.
Yeah,
They must
I
just
did.
text now, right?
I assume so. Yeah.
Yeah.
But she has, she actually has penmanship.
Yeah.
The letters are beautiful and art directed, and
Yeah,
everything
so-
about it is just so charming.
Yeah. So did you were you a letter writer?
Yeah,
writer?
sure. I mean, God, we didn't not to any great length. I don't think. I think email brought back letter writing for me more than anything else. Once I had it in the '90s, I could start communicating with people who weren't in town.
Right.
I was more of a phone call person.
A phone call. Oh, that's
Because again, that's also something that's dead now.
I
That's
love
lovely.
a phone call. There are multiple people I call every day.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Yeah. It's nice.
I haven't gotten a call from Megan today, but it's okay.
I'll call you every day.
right there.
I have a lot of long distance friendships, so you have to keep in touch every way you know how.
I love that. I had a pen pal growing up. We were set up in grade 4 and wrote till university. And even when Facebook came out and we sort of found each other on Facebook friends, we still just the act of letter writing. I think there's just such an intimacy to it and pouring out your heart that way.
Yeah.
So I related to that. Just that as a teen,
Aw.
feels so enormous.
And the letters that are saved up and revealed at the end, the notes, I mean, those are almost text, right? There's nothing that's more than 2 or 3 sentences, but they're almost more effective that way because they arrive all at once. I mean, in terms of the structure of it, I mean, I'm really impressed by a movie that can actually surprise me in any way within the genre that it's set out for itself. I mean, I just saw Angel Has Fallen the other day, and it's terrible, but it's terrible in an absolutely familiar way. Like, there's no surprise to any of it. There's no joy in the action movie stuff. It's just Gerard Butler clenching and opening fire on things. and
That's
you're
how I felt about the new Quentin Tarantino movie.
Oh, we can do that if you want.
I hated it.
Me too.
Oh,
I
that's nice to
decided
hear. Hated it.
It's the total betrayal. I apologize to anybody tuning in for the bouncy Netflix movies. Like, why are they talking about the big people movie?
Yeah.
But yeah, I have massive problems with that.
Yeah.
And
But Leonardo DiCaprio was phenomenal.
and
I will
Pitt's charming
give him
too,
that.
right? And Margot Robbie's doing some interesting stuff.
But to have Margot Robbie in your film and not to utilize her to the maximum extent is just a tragedy.
I think it started in his head as a story about the neighbors, about the Pitt and DiCaprio characters, and then I'm sure the whole thing started because someone at a party mentioned that they didn't know that they used to shoot movies at the Spahn Ranch, and Tarantino was like, "What do you mean you didn't know that?" And this is where the movie came from.
Oh, interesting.
But inventing fictional characters to deal with an actual tragedy is his thing, and then he gets carried away and starts deciding that he can change the world and rewrite history, and
And he loves to rewrite history.
Oh, he does.
And that's fine. But like,
I know.
Yeah.
It's easier to kill Hitler in a movie, I think, than it is
It's
to
easier to like kill Hitler and like,
End slavery.
scalp Nazis and do all that stuff. And then when you're talking about people who have been like brainwashed and manipulated it by like a horrible man, and then like, had a problem with that.
Yeah.
Anyways,
massive problem.
That's
with
how I
that.
feel about that.
Wait, so Hitler
movie.
though wasn't in All
No,
the
in
Boys I've-
Inglorious No, he wasn't
He is
in
in
Love
fact
before.
the secret string puller of Hitler mailed the letters.
Hitler
Yes.
mailed the letters.
Not the sister. It was Hitler.
Which
I actually kind of wanted it to be the older sister, in like a gesture of grow up and get out of the house kind of thing.
Yeah,
But
it's so cool that she goes to Scotland. Was it Scotland? Or
Yeah,
that
yeah.
she goes to school.
Yeah. I love that
It's way better than
relation.
Western.
Yeah. The relationship with all the sisters, and the youngest sister is so funny.
Yeah, I really appreciate that she is a horrible bratty kid sister. Like, there's no effort made to redeem her.
No.
She, even
She's just
early on,
annoying.
she just says, Mom died. I was still eating mushy peas. She's not broken by it. We don't have that excuse. Like, oh, my kid sisters felt it the worst. She's just a bratty kid, and it's
Yeah.
great because we know she'll grow out of it. She's got a good dad. She's got good sisters. But it makes her a character. It almost made her the most vivid character in the film for me because, weirdly enough, looking back, as soon as the credits rolled, I just realized they don't do anything else. These characters are really, if it wasn't for the charm of the performers, these would be really two-dimensional people.
Yeah,
They
right.
don't have any other interests. They don't do anything. We know one of them.
know.
There's that moment where somebody says, "Why are you with him? He's a jock." And I was like, "Oh, that's right. He is. That's a thing he does. He plays lacrosse. He's a jock."
But I love how he didn't come off jockey.
Sure,
No, he didn't
no.
come off jockey.
Yeah.
It didn't have
And
those like
even
jock tropes.
even with the like little confrontation that he had in the bathroom with his ex-girlfriend, even that wasn't sleazy or like he wasn't even a jerk then.
Right.
You know? He's
Yeah.
just like trying to get his girlfriend back and she's trying to, you know, and this is like the best way they know how, but they're not doing it in like a nefarious, is that a word?
Yeah,
Way.
or malicious, right?
yeah.
They're not trying to hurt nobody. Well, that's not true. Jen is absolutely trying to hurt people, but none of our heroes are.
Yeah.
The people we're focused on are all they're decent to the point of being willing to. Josh is willing to fight with him because he won't leave, right? Because she said you should go, and that's the closest that the movie comes to any kind of real confrontation. And again, it's everybody trying to do like the best and most decent thing, which doesn't happen in teen movies. No. Even now, I mean, there's so many of them are about breaking rules and, you know, transgressing and growing up too fast. And everybody in this film is so dedicated to not doing that.
I know, but not even in like a boom boom way. Like, I don't know. I just was so delighted. It was just delightful to watch. And it was surprising. And I watched it 3 times and I was like, this is great every time. And the music selections are great. And I thought the directing was great. And
Meghan, I sense some sympathy for Jen from you.
I mean, I was just like, what's going on with you? Like, what's
Yeah, we don't really get too much information about her.
You know what? There's a second movie and a third movie coming out. So
yeah.
Did they
soon we'll
resolve
find
the
out.
scrunchie in it? Because I'd like to... That was left open for me. I'd like her to get the scrunchie back.
She took that scrunchie.
I assume that would have been a post-credit scene if there wasn't going to be a sequel where he just shows up and
Shows up and gets the scrunchie back.
Yeah.
It's a totem. You know,
It's
it's one
totem.
of those things where you see it disappears for, what is it, 3 months that it's gone in movie time? Because he gets it fairly early on at the party.
Right.
Yeah.
And in
then
that
it's after
time,
the ski trip.
never was curious about the scrunchie. Where did it go?
Oh, yeah, the ski trip.
Yeah, that's it. It needs like one shot of him wearing the scrunchie,
Wearing the
or on his
scrunchie.
arm or something just to torture her.
Yeah.
Just to playfully indicate that he still has it.
I just want to know, are they still going to be together
They have to be,
in
don't
the
they?
second movie?
Although
and
it's
the
a high
third
school movie, so maybe senior year they might not be. It's
Yeah, you know, Netflix is really coming through with these teen movies. Like Sierra Burgess is a Loser is a wonderful movie as well.
Okay, I gotta watch.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
I have to admit I haven't seen it. I don't see most of these. It's weird. They sort of go past me. I'm the
Yeah.
one who covers Another Life when it comes out and have to watch 10 hours of that. And
I just love teen movies, I guess.
yeah,
But I see Noah Centino.
Centino,
Is
I
that
think,
his last
yeah.
name? I just think he's so charming.
He was, I thought he was wonderful.
And I just have such a large crush on him. So anything he's in, I'm like, yes, I will watch that.
He's a great energy. And you're right,
Yeah.
he doesn't have that, like, no toxic.
There's no
toxic
toxic
masculinity,
masculinity
which is
anywhere, you know?
refreshing.
Even though he's like very tall, very strong, very athletic, you know, he's got all the ingredients for a toxic masculinity situation, but doesn't go that obvious route.
yeah. And I noticed as well that there is no conventional bully villain character to represent the bad thing. You know, we're usually given a contrasting example in these movies where you see one, like a Biff Tannen or somebody who embodies the worst of
That's what I'm saying. And there isn't any of
No,
that. They're just like nice guys.
Yeah, and the girls too, with the
I
exception
mean-
of Jen, who clearly has a button but isn't a monster.
Yeah, she's not a
friends, right?
monster.
She's not depicted as a terror. But the moment you do confront it is the mob scene, right? There's the sort of the ingrained behavior that pops up every now and then. People who applaud when they get on the bus after the ski trip's over, or the people clustered around the locker. And that's when, like, I felt like the movie was really commenting on that, is that kids now will only do this stuff if they're encouraged by each other, like if they're unconsciously replicating old behaviors, and maybe that's what the teen movies were always doing, and a new generation gets to break that, which
Right.
I'm hoping and I kind of admire.
Right. I found the resolution kind of interesting too, that it's like, oh my God, this video's on the internet. It's like her sister contacted Instagram and got it taken off. And I was like, well, isn't that?
Yeah, under the child porn
Yes,
restriction,
under
which
the
is
child porn restrictions. It was sort of just a throw.
I mean, it's,
I
you can't
appreciate
post
it.
that stuff on Instagram. It is child pornography.
It is.
But it
I
was
just-
so
they handled
innocent.
it.
Like
It was-
nothing actually really happened in that hot tub.
But they just handled it so daintily. I felt
Yeah.
like
as a script point.
as a script
I
point, like
don't
it
think
wasn't
they
this.
wrestled with it.
Yeah, you didn't see the phone call with Instagram, like anywhere where you could have had this huge, moment of conflict. And
Yeah. Well, I mean,
it was
even
just
the
all very
even the
nice.
source of it is ambiguous. I kind of was hoping, based on the scene in the bathroom, that Jen wasn't the person who posted it, because it would make it more interesting.
right.
You know, if it was because of how the previous rivalry had kept them from actually understanding each other, and these are real people who are sort of trapped in this antagonistic relationship rather than genuinely hating each other. They're just kind of going through the motions. And when Jen is saying no, it's like, yeah, I really hope she didn't do that, because it would make it like they're in full view of windows. There's clearly a dozen possible suspects, but the movie's moving so fast that it doesn't really have time.
Or maybe it comes out in the second movie that she did, and she's like very conflicted about it, and maybe she feels terrible. I don't know.
That
What's
would be
going
nice.
on at home with her, Like, why is she so angry?
Yeah. And I did appreciate that. Is it Lara Jean or Laura Jean? Sorry.
Lara Jean.
Lara Jean.
That she says to her, like, for a woman to do that to another woman is like unspeakable. And I appreciated that.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
feminism battle cry.
And I love her little best friend, too.
Oh, her best friend's amazing. And she
Yeah.
can pull off a hat.
I
She's
know.
perfect.
Yeah.
In high school, who could pull off a hat in high
And I
school?
love that there was a whole scene where they're not allowed to eat, like go out for lunch. Like they have to eat lunch. And
right,
she's
yeah.
like, I'm eating the Subway sandwich, like in secret under the bleachers instead of doing drugs or like Subway sandwich.
Yeah.
You're right. I didn't think of that's the big rebellion. That's
This
amazing.
is practically a Lifetime movie.
That is,
when
you're
you think about
right.
it. But it's constantly subverting the expectations of the teen film. And by invoking John Hughes, who, it's come out in the last few years, too, that Molly Ringwald has some real issues with the sexualization of the teen characters in the movies she was in, and how Hughes was sort of, a problematic filmmaker at best in his depictions of teen sexuality.
But also in his, like him dealing with race too,
Yeah,
and I thought that this movie, I was just really lovely how this movie didn't comment. I think they made one comment where Noah's character says like, isn't that racist?
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, it is. And it was about a John Hughes movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No,
He's like,
it's Long Duck Dong is a
racist.
objectively awful idea.
Right.
Yeah.
Somebody kind of dealt with Mickey Rooney in Breakfast and Tiffany's in the same way a few years ago in a comedy, and just sort of blows past it and says, I love this movie. It has this tumor in it, but I love the rest of it. And it really means something for a mixed race teenager to comment on a racial stereotype, and in a way that we aren't like thrown out of the movie to feel like it's the film making a commentary, that it goes right past. And Lana Condor, who I have only seen in stuff like Deadly Class and X-Men Apocalypse, where she's really fun to watch, but she tightens herself in a way. Like Deadly Class is almost a humorless character. She plays this Yakuza daughter who's there to learn to murder people. And I had no idea until I saw her in this.
so
It's like, oh my
charming.
God, yeah, she radiates
Yeah.
this easy, fun charisma that clearly she can just turn off, which I find even more fascinating. 'Cause
Yeah.
That's a great skill.
What an actor.
But she's wonderful in this. She's in like every scene. She carries the whole thing. She is different versions of Lara Jean to different people as it goes along. It's really,
Yeah.
it's what should be a star-making performance. I'm clear she already was, but
I wish that movie was in the theater. I truly do.
yeah, this is a thing, isn't
Yeah.
it? The Netflix conundrum.
I guess
They're
that's
making
the Netflix conundrum.
when they make something truly great and then you can't watch it with a crowd. I mean,
Yeah.
you can bring 10 people into your living room, but
Yeah.
the experience of seeing a film with 300 people who don't know what's coming. I saw they do the occasional screening. For the stuff they really feel has the prestige. Roma obviously ran for weeks at the Tiff Hall Lightbox, but they put out The Ballad of Buster Scruggs into theaters, and that was fun to watch with an audience. But, if it's not playing a film festival, the odds are you're not going to be able to experience this movie big. And this, it's a gorgeous film. It's shot, it felt like it was anamorphic, like they were using a specific kind of deep focus green-inducing lens. It was just a pleasure to look at.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. My dog didn't provide the same community. I think
No, they
that
never
a,
do.
that a theater would.
No.
Dexter just wants to go out.
He just wants to go
The
out.
movie's on, and he's like, well, I want to go outside and let
Yeah.
the squirrel.
Lola's
I
like,
know.
I guess I'll just lie here and watch
I
this
know.
with you.
I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. But the energy changes, right? Like if you're watching it, my wife and I watched it together and we enjoyed it, and I think we laughed out loud a couple of times, but it's not the same. Like the spark is really different.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
I will say though, I get a lot of anxiety in movie theaters.
I do too.
I need it to be so quiet. I don't want to hear you talking. I don't want to see your phone. I can't handle listening to people eat their popcorn. Like I have to go during the day to an over 19 movie theater, or else I just go crazy. And when I did see
Once Upon a Time.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, there were two guys that were clearly super high. behind me and they laughed at everything. Like every single line. They were just laughing the entire movie. And I was like, my brain is going to pop off.
Yeah. Hell is other people in a movie theater. It absolutely is.
Yeah.
I'm spoiled, I guess. I have press screenings at 10 a.m. and you're welcome
That's
to come.
nice.
But it's, 20 or 30 other people who are there to be,
Be quiet and
focused
watch.
immersed.
Yeah. I'm like,
Right.
we just spent $30 to sit here and eat our popcorn and you guys are going to talk.
I know.
I can't
It's
believe
horrifying.
The only time I can get behind it is if I'm at like a cartoon and there's kids because I find that really
Sure.
charming.
Right.
Well, it's non-performative. Right? Like,
No,
it's
they're
a
just like
natural
really
response.
excited to watch Aladdin or,
Yeah.
which
That is-
also wasn't my favorite.
Oh, talk about that. This has been a very disappointing year for $100 million pictures. But yeah, this is an empire now too, right? Because there are 2 more films coming. Lana Condor announced it on Instagram fairly recently, actually. And I was surprised because I remember, because it's Netflix again, and there's always another movie the following week, there's just this flurry of activity every time they put something out, and then it dissipates over the weekend, and you don't think about it anymore. I had not realized this had hit to quite that level.
Yeah, well, I think the first movie takes place when they're all in grade 10. And I think the next movie will be grade 11. And then the movie after that will
And the
be,
movie
they
after that.
graduate.
Will be like the 90210 reunion where they come back.
Right.
I've been watching the 90210 reboot and I
not seen
love it. I'm totally behind it.
I missed out on 90210 when it came out. Like I don't know, it just sort of blew past me. I missed it. And I've had FOMO ever since.
I just think they're just taking the piss out of themselves. And I love watching that.
So they've gone full
They've got,
meta?
but they've got such a sense of humor about themselves. And they're actually fairly great actors, all of them.
Right.
So they do it really well.
Right. I know. I feel left out. It was just a thing. Yeah, it was a cultural phenomenon that
That you
missed
missed?
me. And
Oh, I'm so
yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, I got like really into the reboot because it's like it's not going to happen again. I'm gonna be plugged into 90210.
So
The CW one?
The CW one. Yeah.
new
Boy.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other one.
The other one. Yeah.
Is it satisfying?
No, it's terrible.
This is what
No, but this one is different because they're like, it's like a
Right.
meta. They're playing themselves doing a reboot.
Right.
How do they deal with the Luke Perry thing?
He passed away.
Yeah,
in the
in
show.
the,
Yeah.
How do they handle it in the?
Very lovely.
Oh, that's
yeah. It was well done.
So it's kind of like the Seinfeld Curb Your Enthusiasm. Yeah, it sort of seems like that. Like it's a
Kind of,
them
yeah,
talking
they're-
about like them as themselves. Talking
Yeah,
doing
like
a
Tori
reboot.
Spelling is kind of trying to make a reboot happen, and they're just like, no.
Okay.
And then they're all just playing heightened versions of themselves. Sorry that we started talking
Sorry,
about
I apologize.
that's how
Beverly
this
Hills
works.
90210.
Everything.
My fault. I'm sorry.
Everything is relevant. Trust me.
I'm sorry.
That's the magic of this show.
I watch far more television than I do movies.
I do too.
Is it just
Yeah.
that there is so much more to watch now, or is it just more
I guess
digestible?
I just have a lot of free time, so I just watch a lot of television, I guess.
I prefer television as well.
Yeah, the longer investment in the character,
Yeah,
the shorter running
I
time.
guess.
I get
yeah,
very invested, unhealthily. So when I finished Friday Night Lights, I sobbed because
I
the lights went out
understand.
in, oh my God, Dillon? Yeah, the lights went out in Dillon. I think that's the name of the town.
Yeah.
And then when 6 Feet Under ended, I had to like take an hour to myself and
Yourself,
really
I
like
understand.
contemplate what I had just seen. It was
Yeah.
really traumatic for me.
With television, it feels like they're more your friends because you're watching over
They're in your house.
time and they're in your house.
come to visit
Exactly,
every
they
week.
come to visit every week. So yeah, it feels like more relational than.
But then when you
watching
when
a
you
movie.
watch it, when you binge watch it, it's like you're even that much more invested because I can sometimes watch an entire series in 2 days.
Yes.
I mean, I completed all of RuPaul's Drag Race in 2 months, like
That is
13 seasons.
Amazing. I'll have to finish it and then I'll have to like Google about it too because I'm not done. I want to read about it more.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. How do you deal with that when you're catching up to an older thing and it's been discussed, it's in the world, it's
I just
already,
avoid.
really you can.
Yeah, but I also don't mind spoilers. Although I did not spoil 6 Feet Under for myself, and I think that's why I was so traumatized. I didn't think, I was like, there's not going to be a twist.
Well, there isn't, but my
There's
God,
no
they
twist,
just
but
heap
it's-
on the stuff.
It is the most amazing series finale I've ever seen in my life. Oh, Wendy.
I know.
It's such an amazing investment.
I need to watch. Oh, I've missed out on so much.
It's okay.
Guys, you should kick me off the podcast.
No. It's not
I
someone
haven't
else's
seen enough.
television
Get outta
series.
here.
You're good.
I
You
haven't
saw
seen
the movie
enough.
we're talking about. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out a way to hook back into the whole YA thing and how like this does the movie subverts it so gracefully by just not caring like if it conforms. And I think that's the thing. The other thing too is that it wasn't until you mentioned that the Lara Jean's entire the boots thing and the hostility and the sense that she's being judged for her outfit. Then I finally put the other beat together. All the time I was watching it, I was thinking about 10 Things I Hate About You.
Oh, yeah.
And it's an unfair comparison because that film exists in a stylistic world of its own. It's sort of already sending up the 80s in 1999. But that's it, isn't it? Because Julia Stiles' character, Kat, has also lost her mother. And that's why it was just pulling at the back of my brain the whole
Julia
time.
Stiles also did not give AF.
No, she's an incredibly, I mean, Taming of the Shrew, right? She's supposed to be angry.
Yeah.
But that movie holds up really well, I have to
I
say.
haven't seen it, but I imagine it does.
I
Yeah,
saw
I
it
would
not
think it
too
does
long
too.
ago, and it felt like the other thing that I briefly thought about is it felt like the other element of it that I briefly thought about watching To All the Boys is that the father is a gynecologist in both of them, or an OBGYN.
Oh, right. You're
Because
right.
John Corbett
yeah.
sends her off with the bag of condoms.
condoms,
And Larry Miller has the whole bit about put on the suit, put on the pregnant belly
Yeah.
to make yourself feel what will come for you.
What will come, right.
And that was the only real connection. And I it pulled in the back of my head while I was watching it, and then I threw it away because I got reinvested in the movie. But that's definitely the thing that I'm connecting to now.
You're right. You're right.
It's like almost like the film was trying to take aspects of a lot of different past teen flicks and just kind of making it, updating it and making it
yeah.
a little bit more.
But it does subvert the genre, which I always love. It does subvert the teen romance. I think we tried to subvert the rom-com.
Oh, I think so, yeah. I mean, it's not even really that much of a comedy. Like, it doesn't have a bunch of set pieces or broad laugh-out-loud moments. It's just this sort of character-based comic tension that runs through because it is a real slow-motion farce.
Yeah.
Right.
I just find that a lot of the funny moments in a lot of teen films come at the expense of women and people of color.
Yes.
Sure.
And I
Yes.
just,
Historically,
and I just hate that. And I've been a part of projects that have, the humor has come from,
Punching down.
punching down women and like making fun of that. So I like how the funny moments in this movie didn't have to do that. Smart. It's smart
That's a great
comedy.
observation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all earned. I mean, we're laughing at them. We're laughing with them more than we're laughing at them. But when we do laugh at them, it's because of who they are and who we understand they are.
Right.
And I really, really love how the lead female was Asian American. I really, really like that. And I hope that continues on where we have a whole assortment of different leading female,
For sure.
and we're seeing more of that on Netflix especially.
Yeah.
But,
was it wrong, though, that I wish that they went all the way and made her dad as well?
But I kind of liked how it was like a mix
of...
I mean, I don't, as a viewer, it didn't, but yeah, it would have been cool.
Yeah. I mean, if it
Or
had
not.
been Asian parents and Asian kids, I don't think that the nature of the story changes that much. But the mixed thing just opens it up a little more,
I guess it adds
right?
an extra layer.
Yeah,
of
like
complexity
it was never really talked about. It was just like existed, and that's what I like to see. And I did a film with Kara G called Red Rover a couple years ago, and she's First Nations, and I know she really appreciated it how it also wasn't spoken about, like it wasn't commented on. It just existed in the world that we were all in, and it didn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, it matters, right?
Right.
But
Yeah, there's
It wasn't
there's a
like
moment where it sort of flares
tokenism.
up when they discuss her character's history.
yeah.
Where it comes up, but it's not, she's not the magic.
Oh, have you seen the movie?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, she talks about it with Christian's character at the carnival.
Yeah.
She's talking about her father. But yeah, and and she was it's just nice to see different leading women
Yes, absolutely.
of all different, and
Strong
even in
leading women.
Sarah Burgess is a Loser, like, that type of a leading woman. And,
Maybe I just had a problem seeing Aiden have teenage daughters.
yeah,
Maybe
that's
made me
tough.
feel old.
That's another point that we can deal with. Yeah. He does have it's funny, right? Corbett has come so far from that. That was really, it was that and Northern Exposure were the two big roles he had in the 90s,
yeah.
right? But now he's 20 years on. Nobody blames him for the My Big Fat Greek Wedding sequel, which I think is good. But he is that reliable kind of go-to
Dad.
casual dad
He's
guy
a go-to
now.
casual dad. Yeah.
And he's good at it.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you think about the connection to Sex and the City, that adds a whole other different level of reference for this, too.
Yeah, that's true.
Just that he's carrying that legacy with him and that history for the parents who'll be watching, because clearly the kids aren't going to know.
There was one John Corbett scene, I don't know if you remember this, where he's like getting into the car and he's talking to her, and it's just they hold the close-up on him for so long, and I'm like, did you not have coverage? Because this feels very awkward. I was like...
The scene with the condoms where he's handing her the bag.
I don't know, I forget what they're talking about.
Of
The early driving lesson, maybe?
No, he's like leaving for the weekend or something, and he's talking to her. Maybe it is about the condom, but it just holds on him for so long.
But I do appreciate when they show kids talking to their parents about sex. I think it's amazing. I love it normalizing that.
It's important.
I think that's
How
really
else are they
important,
supposed to know?
that they don't make it this, and also that they did it not as just like, let's sit down and have this really important discussion. That it was also him.
Yeah, she wants to flee the car.
Dropping her off for the ski trip.
Obviously very embarrassing.
Yeah, I appreciated that.
Yeah. It's just, again, treat the characters like sensible people, even if they're hormonal idiots.
Right.
And by that point, I think the movie has earned its audience's trust that they're not going to undersell it or just make a joke out of this, that this is actually, it's going to be funny because the discomfort is there on both sides. And we've all seen the version of that scene, but then having her just take it like, yes, I know, I have rubbers now. And just make her mad and legitimately angry. That's great.
Yeah, it didn't lose its credibility.
Yeah, she gets to be herself.
Yeah, she gets to be herself.
And it didn't make a big deal about virginity either, which I liked.
Yes.
Because I find it's
really
like,
good observation too.
who cares? Like, this whole virginity thing is just
needing to be magical.
Yeah, it's like women can't lose their virginity, but men have to lose their virginity, and I'm just over it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In teen movies.
Yeah, I was about to say I have
It's like, in teen movies,
right.
it's like if the girl loses her virginity, it's like she's a slut, and we're gonna put it on Instagram, and you're such a whatever. But when the man character loses his virginity, it's like we gotta lose it now, and they become really cool and.
Yeah, they make entire films about them.
Yeah,
They make entire
I've
films
been
about
in
that,
those films.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
And they don't really. I'm trying to think. Superbad has dated terribly because it's
Superbad.
Of the adolescent attitudes.
Superbad.
Yeah, but the fact that both of the male characters end up in situations with the female characters, where the boys and the girls end up respecting one another rather than groping each other. That's a tiny, tiny step forward.
It's a glimmer.
And that was 10, 12 years ago. So maybe now
There are so many films that do not hold up. It's frightening. Even films from like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I rewatched Age of Adeline with Blake Lively.
Oh, I never did see that.
Oh boy, I remember really liking it, seeing it, and then I watched it again because I was done binging all my TV shows, and I was like, oh, he's like stalking her. Like he will not take no for an answer. I'm like, that's weird and not okay.
Not okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no stalking in this film, which is nice. I mean, sort of it's reverse stalking, if anything, because she's confessing love to people that she's never spoken to about it. But it's for all the talk about consent, the letters are sent out without her consent. That's the betrayal. Whereas everything else is an attempt. Every person who gets a letter is actually really decent about it. All 3 boys.
I know, they're all good about it, like they don't. And I love oh my gosh, I love when the character like came out to her in the washroom. He's like, I don't know if you know this, I'm gay. And she's like,
yeah. And later on, someone else says, no, everybody in school knows it's fine.
yeah, it's okay. It's like, wasn't a big deal. It's like all the things that are usually a big deal in YA movies just are like, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that is the right direction.
Yeah. Did we all agree that the spin the bottle was very accurate too? I love the chaste little kiss felt.
Yeah, that everybody feels
Gosh, I remember
wrong
playing.
about it. Everybody knows they shouldn't be doing what they're just caught up in the whole peer pressure thing.
Yeah.
I guess that's the closest we get to peer pressure in the movie, right?
Yeah.
Other than that,
Where she kisses him,
the cheering and the...
It's still just this cute little sweet thing, and it's not, overly
sweet.
dramatized.
And yet it turns out somebody's been holding a grudge about it for years.
For years.
Which is also kind of believable in a way.
I think it's believable if you went to my high school.
I hold a lot of grudges to things that happened to me in middle school, so...
Yeah. More so, it's so funny. More so than you do as an adult.
Yeah.
Like, why is that?
Well,
I guess they're
when
just
you're
so
young,
blazoned
everything
in your mind as being.
It's the first time you felt anger, right?
Yeah.
The first time you've been betrayed. That stuff stays with you forever.
Stays with you forever.
Yeah, I had a boy in middle school ask me to go study or whatever, and then for one day, and then the next day break up with me.
No.
And then a week later, he'd ask me out, and then he'd break up with me. And he just thought it was so funny that I would keep saying yeah. even though I knew he was going to break up with me. And I'm like, young Meghan, where's your self-respect?
I know. I had the same thing, grade 8 prom. After the prom, he asked me to go out, and then the next day he dumped me.
I'm going to call you out right now.
I know.
Trevor Juba.
Benji Stern. You're on Arya Stark's list.
I would like it known that I have never done anything like this to anyone I've ever known. I feel like a good person now. That's better.
Yeah, everybody makes mistakes.
Sure. And when you're a kid, you're dumb. Like most children, male and female, are still figuring this stuff out. And I think the best thing about this movie is that it lets you see the mistakes happen and it lets you see people fix them.
But are you saying I have to forgive Benji?
Oh, no, you
I
can
want to
carry
be clear
that.
that I don't.
Carry that in your heart.
Okay, thank you.
Have a character named Benji, throw him off a building every time. It's fine.
That's a great idea.
You should. Benji Juba.
Benji Juba, season 3, the villain.
Your new pitch, the new show, Benji Juba Keeps Dying.
Benji Juba Keeps Dying. That's a great name for a series.
Right? I would watch that show.
Oh, I love that. Thank you.
at all.
Thank you, guys. The writing process is so hard, but not what.
That's what we're here for.
Thank you.
But to that end, the question on the podcast is always about, like, how does this choice express itself? And I'm not seeing a lot of To All the Boys I've Loved Before in How to Buy a Baby. But if there is resonance, or if there's, the thing that I was thinking of, because I was desperately working and trying to figure out how I can connect it all.
I'm
No,
sorry.
it's
This was
fun.
my pick. I was like, let's pick the fluffy teen movie.
This is the fun part of the job, because my whole thing is about making connections between stuff, and I couldn't come up with one except that How to Buy a Baby is ultimately a really optimistic show about people processing stuff that should destroy them. Mm-hmm. And there is sort of a connection there.
Yeah.
And not destroy them in a catastrophic, horrible way, but the same way that the loss of a parent eats away at these characters, or has eaten, because they're all coming around and figuring out who they are by the time we meet them. How to Buy a Baby is about it's about the struggle to redefine yourself when an avenue is closed off, but you still want to go down that road.
I think that's yes, I know that's so beautiful
got
and
it.
so perfectly said. I think that's exactly it. I think it's all about, like, everybody wants to be loved and everybody wants to be seen. And I think How to Buy a Baby is like that too. Like, I think Jane wants to be seen even though things aren't working the way she thought they were. And I think it's about the love between them. And I feel like the movie is sort of like the precursor of that. It's the same thing. Like, Laura Jean wants to be loved and she wants to be seen for who she is. And so, you said it much more artfully, but
And they're both
I think the link is
characters
love.
are unapologetically just themselves.
Yeah.
Like, Jane is just unapologetically, like, neurotic and kind of like all over the place. And, Laura Jean is just a confident little lady.
it doesn't apologize for it.
Yeah.
They're both vulnerable and trying to be vulnerable.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is I am large. Yeah.
Right. And the outfits as well.
And the
They
outfits
both have
and
great
the-
wardrobes.
So you're saying one day I'll get to meet Noah, whatever his name is. And
Right.
just kidding.
For sure.
Chalamet, I think. Is
Yeah.
Santino?
I think you should write him a letter.
Oh, yeah. That's how it starts.
I'm too
Yeah.
old for him.
I'm trying to think of a better,
Yeah, I'm trying to think
different
of a
link.
button here. You can play
Let me
younger, you
think
can
of
play
a-
older.
you play- yeah. Trying to think of a link. No, but the link is always love. It's always love and wanting love.
Yeah, it's a really, given how incredibly cynical that title sounds, and that's part of the pitch, it's a
Right.
really warm, positive, and I find very endearing show. And I've just, the first season is this sort of great pinwheel of guest stars and actors and attitude. And I'm just thinking, like, in my head, it's like, let's see, Molly McGlynn directed the first season.
Yes.
Adriana Maggs directed the second. They've
Yes.
both done the show. A whole bunch of people have passed through that have all just had this weird spirit of the show in them, and like this weird infectious thing that it is. And to the point where Marilla Wex, who's a friend,
Yes. I love Marilla.
Oh my
casually,
gosh.
offhandedly said, "Oh yeah, I'm playing an adoption therapist or an adoption counselor."
She's a nurse.
A nurse.
A nurse in
Fertility nurse, was
She's
it?
at the fertility clinic. She plays a
That's-
nurse and she does it perfectly.
She's amazing.
Sorry,
Yeah.
it's been a year or so since I saw it.
Yeah,
I've forgotten
no.
that. But the way she explained it to us was, "Oh, but my character doesn't like children." I just put that in there.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, of course you would. That's
Yeah, I
exactly
love
what the
that.
show is.
Yes. She does it so perfectly, and
It's
does
just-
the same thing to every couple that's supposed to be like trying to help them feel at ease, but when you can tell it's a script.
It's a job, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a job.
Yeah.
And that sense of allowing everybody to inhabit a character, not just the principals, but everyone who comes through has a story.
Right.
In 10-minute chunks.
Right.
Kind of cool.
Oh, thank you. Oh, the loss. Yes, you brought up the loss. I think like Laura Jean has lost her mom, and they've sort of lost the idea that they're going to make a baby the fun way and how that impacts your relationship.
There we go.
There you go.
Got
Brought
it.
it around. I
Brought it around.
I had every confidence in you.
Yeah.
But we had I love the description of a pinwheel. That's what it felt like, is that it just, all these people add to it, and it makes it so colorful, and they bring their
I'm
own
excited
spirit.
because a lot of the same guest stars are coming back.
Oh, great.
And we have some new, really
ones.
exciting ones.
Okay.
More pins to the wheel coming.
Oh, yeah.
Good. And is there a conclusion in this season? Is it open to a third? I mean, are you at liberty to discuss this sort of thing?
I think it's open to a third.
Ooh.
I think it's open to a third.
Please have a
Going
third. Please have a
discoveries.
third. Please have a third. It's my
think
favorite.
so.
It's one of my favorite things to
I
do.
hope so. I love writing. I love writing for Meghan. I love picturing Meghan acting it, and it's so incredible to be able to write with somebody in mind. Is incredible.
Oh, that's great. That's really lovely.
That's nice, Wendy.
Like, it's the nicest.
We hate each other.
Also, you can't see,
not
but
getting
Meghan, speaking of outfits, Meghan is wearing a frill that I feel would be very Laura Jean-esque.
I feel like this is very Jane.
It is. It's very Jane.
It's very,
Yeah,
except
I
for
think
maybe
they're very-
Jane
yeah.
would have like a cardigan over it,
It would have a cardigan.
or
over
like a
it.
brooch.
Yes.
Jane had the best outfits. I got to keep some of them. It was pretty great.
Really?
Yeah. I begged to keep some of them, and then I harassed them, and then they let me.
Does that
Is what
happen
I should
often?
keep
I mean, did you get to keep widow stuff from Winona Earp?
Oh my gosh. You know
did
what?
you?
The
Yeah.
costume department on Winona Earp was awesome. They let us keep one piece from our character that we really wanted, but they let me take two.
What'd you pick? What'd you
Well,
pick?
you do play two characters.
I actually wear this top a lot, but it's like a lace,
Oh yeah,
the
lace top. Yes,
the lace
yes.
top that I think I wore under something. So I got that, and then like a floral dress
The purple one with the
flowers
I
on
love
it.
that dress.
Yeah.
Sorry, Norm. What was
No. I'm perfectly happy to nerd out about Winona Earp. for
That was the
days.
Winona Earp
about-
ones that
Yeah.
Yeah. So
No, sorry,
I'll always
we
have
keep
Widow
talking about
Beth
this.
with me. I
Yes.
actually feel like maybe at the next convention I'm going to wear one of my Widow Beth outfits
Do it,
and see if
yes.
anybody notices.
Absolutely.
They'll notice.
I hope you notice, Earpers.
You'll notice.
My thanks to Meghan Heffern and Wendy Litner, who are rightly proud of the second season of their web series How to Buy a Baby, which is streaming right now on CBC Gem in Canada. The first season's also up there too, so you can and should start from the beginning. Thanks also to Anna True. She knows what she did. You can find Meghan on Twitter at Meghan Heffern, all one word, and you can find Wendy on Twitter at Wendy_Litner. But you should definitely be checking out Meghan's Instagram feed, which you should find at Megsyheff, Megsieheff. You can find To All the Boys I've Loved Before streaming on Netflix, all around the world, of course. As always, you can find me on Twitter at Norm Wilner and elsewhere on the internet at nowtoronto.com. You can also find this podcast on Twitter at Semcast, S-E-M-Cast, and on the web at someoneelsesmovie.com. If you feel like leaving a review on Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts or wherever you enjoy the show, that would be greatly appreciated. Every little bit helps, it truly does. And check out the other shows on the Frequency Podcast Network. The Big Story has become essential listening for me every weekday. Thanks for your support, and thanks for listening. See you next week.